Lena was a young alien girl who lived alone on a small barren planet. She could not see, but her other senses were sharp. She could hear the soft whistle of the wind, feel the vibration of the ground beneath her feet, and smell the faint scent of metal carried by the dry air. Lena spent her days collecting trash from the planet's surface. To anyone else, the piles of broken machines, old wires, and rusty tools would have seemed worthless, but to Lena, they were treasures. She used them for food, building shelters, and creating simple tools that made her life easier. Every morning, Lena left her small hut at the edge of a dusty plain. She carried a woven bag that rested on her back and a long stick she used to feel the ground ahead. The stick tapped and scraped against the stones as she walked, helping her navigate. The wind whispered to her, carrying messages from the planet itself. She had learned to understand it. She could sense when the rocks were loose, when a hidden ridge appeared, and when dangerous creatures moved nearby. The planet was harsh, but it was home, and Lena had learned to survive. One day, Lena wandered further than usual. Her stick brushed against the sand and metal, and her fingers traced shapes hidden beneath layers of dust. She loved finding old devices. Sometimes she found small containers filled with minerals she could eat. Sometimes she discovered pieces of metal she could turn into tools or toys. Lena had a small collection of these treasures in her hut, carefully arranged so she could find them easily by touch. On this particular day, her hand met something unusual. It was smooth and warm, unlike the other cold metal she had found. It hummed slightly when she touched it. Lena tilted her head and ran her fingers along its edges. It felt round like a small ball but heavy. She smiled. She loved objects that were different. They sparked her imagination. Maybe this one could become something useful, she thought. Lena picked it up and felt its weight in her hands. She could not see, but she could feel its shape perfectly. She carried it back to her hut, humming a soft tune she often sang while working. Her hut was a small structure of metal scraps, wires, and soft cloths. She had built it herself over the years, each piece carefully placed. She sat down on a low mat and examined her new find. She turned it over in her hands and listened to the faint humming. It was strange but pleasant. She decided to store it with her other treasures until she could figure out what it was. Lena loved mysteries. Every object she found told a story, even if she could not see it. She imagined what it might have been before it became trash. Perhaps it belonged to a traveler who had passed through the planet long ago. Perhaps it had a special purpose that she could discover. After placing the object in her collection, Lena prepared her simple meal. She crushed some minerals she had found in the sand and mixed them with water. She ate slowly, savoring every bite. Her life was simple, but she enjoyed it. She liked the quiet of her hut, the sounds of the wind, and the feeling of her treasures beneath her fingers. As night fell, the wind grew colder, and the planet's surface became quiet. Lena lay down on her mat and listened to the hum of the strange object she had found. She wondered what it was. She wondered if it was special. She felt a small thrill of excitement. Even though she had never seen a human, never seen another living being besides the distant sounds of creatures outside, she felt a sense that something was about to change. For the first time in many days, Lena went to sleep feeling a spark of hope. Perhaps her life would be different now. Perhaps this strange treasure was the beginning of a new adventure. The wind whispered softly through the cracks of her hut, and Lena dreamed of a world where even a blind alien girl could find wonder and discovery. She did not know it yet, but her life was about to meet someone who would change everything. The next morning, Lena woke to the soft wind brushing her face. She reached for the strange object she had found the day before. It hummed faintly under her fingers. She had spent the night imagining its shape, its purpose, and who might have made it. The feeling of it was both strange and comforting. Lena decided she needed to explore more of the planet to see if she could find something that would explain it. She picked up her stick and her bag and stepped carefully onto the plain. The ground was uneven, but she knew every ridge and hollow. She listened to the subtle sounds of shifting sand and distant rocks. Lena loved wandering. Even though it was dangerous at times, it gave her a sense of freedom. She could sense when a piece of metal lay hidden beneath the sand. She could tell if the wind carried a scent of minerals or water. Every day was a puzzle, and Lena enjoyed solving it. As she moved further than usual, Lena felt a new vibration beneath her feet. It was different from the usual hum of the planet. She stopped and listened carefully. The vibration was soft but steady, almost like a heartbeat. She followed it slowly, her stick tapping along the ground. her hands brushing the sand and metal fragments. The vibration grew stronger. Lena felt a rush of excitement. Perhaps this was a clue to the strange object she had found. Suddenly, Lena's hands touched something cold and smooth, unlike the rough metals she usually collected. She held it carefully. The shape was unfamiliar, and it seemed to pulse lightly with energy. Lena smiled. She could feel that this was important. She added it to her bag and continued walking, more curious than ever. Her mind raced with possibilities. Perhaps it was a piece of a machine from another planet. Perhaps it had fallen from a traveler's ship. Hours passed as Lena explored. The sun was high and the wind was stronger now. She stopped near a small hill to rest. Her hands brushed over the strange objects she had collected that morning. She imagined each one as part of a story. She loved imagining. Even without sight, she could see the world in her mind. She could picture landscapes, machines, and people who had once touched the items she held. Suddenly, she heard a new sound. It was soft but very different from anything she had ever heard before. Lena froze. The vibration beneath her feet stopped for a moment. Then it returned, but this time it was accompanied by a gentle, human-like voice. Lena's heart raced. She had never met a human before. She had only heard stories passed down from travelers who had left traces on the planet long ago. The voice spoke again, softly. "Hello? Is anyone here?" Lena's hands trembled slightly as she reached out in the direction of the voice. She could feel the ground carefully with her stick. The voice was coming closer, and the vibration beneath her feet changed. Lena realized that someone was walking carefully, just like her. She took a deep breath. Her curiosity was stronger than her fear. Lena called out softly, "I am here." "Who are you?" The voice responded, "My name is Aiden. I am a traveler. I did not expect to find anyone on this planet." Lena smiled, sensing kindness in his tone. She had never known friendship before, but somehow she felt it now. Aiden moved carefully towards her, and Lena listened to every step. She felt his presence near her. He carried something that hummed faintly, similar to the strange object she had found. Lena's mind raced with possibilities. Perhaps he could tell her what her treasures really were. Perhaps he could show her that what she thought was trash could be something more. For the first time, Lena felt hope that her life might change. She had spent so long collecting scraps and making her own world from discarded pieces. Now someone had come who might help her understand the larger universe. Lena's heart felt light. She had a companion now, even if she could not see him. She could feel his presence, hear his voice, and imagine his face. The sun began to set, and Lena and Aiden stayed near the hill. She told him about the object she had found, and he listened carefully. His voice was calm and patient. Lena realized that for the first time, she was not alone in her world. Aiden's arrival was the beginning of something new, something bigger than the dusty plains and metal scraps she had always known. As the evening breeze touched her face, Lena held her treasures close. She could not see, but she felt a spark of excitement. Perhaps her strange objects were not just tools or food. Perhaps they were part of a story that she had not yet discovered. And now, with Aiden there, Lena knew she might finally understand their true value. The next morning, Lena woke to the gentle warmth of the sun. She reached for her treasures and felt the smooth object that had brought Aiden to her world. She smiled, thinking of him. He had stayed nearby during the night, careful not to disturb her. His presence made her feel safe and curious at the same time. Lena had spent her life alone, but now someone had come who might help her discover the secrets of her collection. Aiden stirred and spoke softly. "Good morning, Lena. Did you sleep well?" Lena nodded, feeling the vibrations of his footsteps as he moved across the hut. She reached for her stick and prepared to walk. Today, she decided, they would explore a part of the planet she had never visited before. Perhaps they would find something that explained the strange object she had found. They stepped onto the dusty plain together. Lena led with her stick while Aiden followed, careful not to step on any of the scattered metal fragments. The ground was uneven, but Lena moved confidently. She felt the ridges and dips under her feet and listened to the wind. Every sound gave her clues about the landscape. Aiden admired her skill. Even without sight, Lena knew the planet better than anyone he had ever met. As they walked, Lena told Aiden about the objects she had collected. She described each piece with great detail. Some were sharp, some were smooth, and some hummed with energy. Aiden listened carefully, fascinated. He had never seen someone survive so well using only their senses and imagination. Lena's world was different from anything he had known, yet it was full of life and possibility. After a while, Lena stopped near a pile of debris she had not explored before. Her fingers brushed over the sand and metal, and she felt a small object that hummed softly. It was different from the others. Lena picked it up and held it carefully. "This one feels special," she said. Aiden bent down to feel it as well. "It is," he said. "It looks like it could be part of something bigger." Curious, Lena and Aiden began searching the surrounding area. They moved slowly, examining every piece of metal, every fragment buried in the sand. Hours passed and the sun rose high in the sky. Lena's hands were tired, but she felt alive. She could sense the hidden energy in the objects she touched. Each one seemed to hold a story waiting to be discovered. Finally, Lena's fingers found a flat, rectangular piece of metal hidden under the sand. It was smooth and warm, and it hummed faintly like the first object she had found. Lena held it carefully. "I think this belongs with the other one," she said. Aiden examined the objects and nodded. "Yes, Lena. Together they form something important. I think they might be part of a map or a tool left here long ago." Lena's heart raced. She had never imagined her trash could be so valuable. They spent the rest of the day collecting more pieces. Lena felt the thrill of discovery. Each object added to their understanding, and each one revealed a small secret about the planet. Aiden marveled at Lena's ability to find and understand the objects. He realized that what seemed like trash to most people was actually a treasure when seen through Lena's perspective. As the sun began to set, Lena and Aiden sat on a small hill, listening to the wind. Lena held the objects close and felt their hum against her fingers. She could not see them, but she could sense their importance. "I never knew my world could hold so much," Lena said softly. Aiden smiled. "You have been living in a treasure trove all along, Lena. I only helped you see it differently." That evening, Lena placed the objects carefully in her collection. She felt a sense of pride and excitement she had never known. She realized that her life was changing. She had always thought she was alone, collecting scraps to survive. Now she had a companion, and she had discovered that her treasures were more than tools. They were part of a story waiting to be told. Lena closed her eyes and listened to the hum of the objects. She felt hope, excitement, and curiosity all at once. For the first time, she understood that her life was not just about survival. It was about discovery, friendship, and the possibility of something greater. With Aiden by her side, Lena knew that the adventure had only just begun. The morning sun warmed the dusty plain as Lena and Aiden prepared for another day of exploration. Lena felt the hum of the strange objects in her collection. Today, she decided, they would follow the clues that the pieces seemed to offer. She ran her fingers over the smooth surfaces, imagining what they could become. Aiden watched her with admiration. He had never seen someone turn what looked like trash into something so meaningful. They set off together, moving slowly and carefully across the uneven ground. Lena led the way, tapping her stick lightly, while Aiden followed close behind. Each sound of their steps echoed softly across the plain. Lena paused frequently, feeling the vibrations of the ground and listening to the faint hum of hidden objects. She had learned to trust her other senses, and they guided her more than sight ever could. After walking for hours, Lena stopped near a small cluster of rocks. Something felt different here. She ran her hands over the ground and discovered a flat, circular object buried beneath the sand. It hummed faintly, but the vibration was stronger than anything she had found before. Lena smiled. She had the feeling that this object was important. Carefully, she lifted it and placed it in her bag. Aiden bent down to feel it too. "This is incredible," he said. "It seems like the objects are connecting somehow." Encouraged, they continued their search. Lena could feel the hidden energy of the pieces guiding her. She followed the hums and vibrations across the plain, moving closer to a strange formation of rocks she had never explored before. The rocks were jagged and uneven, but Lena's careful steps and sharp senses allowed her to move safely. Aiden admired her skill. He realized that her blindness had made her stronger in ways he could never have imagined. As they approached the rock formation, Lena's hand brushed against something larger buried in the sand. It was heavier than the other objects and pulsed with energy. She pulled it out carefully and examined it with her fingers. "I think this is the key," she said. Aiden studied it as well. "Yes," he agreed. "This could be part of a machine or a tool. If we figure it out, it might explain everything you have found. They spent the afternoon piecing together the objects. Lena arranged them on a flat rock, feeling each piece carefully. Aiden helped her align the shapes. Slowly, they began to see a pattern. The objects seemed to fit together, forming a larger structure. Lena could feel the edges click into place as they connected the pieces. Her heart raced with excitement. For the first time, she felt that her collection was more than a collection of scraps. It was part of something greater. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled slightly. Lena froze, her fingers brushing the objects. Aiden felt it too. The vibration was not from the objects. It was coming from the rocks around them. Lena listened carefully. She realized that the rock formation might be unstable. "We need to be careful," she said. Aiden nodded, moving closer to help. They continued working slowly, making sure not to disturb the surrounding rocks. Finally, after hours of careful effort, they connected all the pieces. Lena held the last object in her hands and felt a sudden surge of energy. The objects glowed faintly and the hum grew stronger. Lena smiled, feeling a sense of wonder and achievement. Aiden looked at her with amazement. "You have found something extraordinary," he said. "These objects are more than tools. They are a message. Someone left them here for a reason, and now we can understand it." As the sun began to set, Lena and Aiden packed up the objects carefully. Lena felt proud and excited. For the first time, she understood that her life was not just about survival. Her treasures were part of a story, a message from the past, and she had helped uncover it. With Aiden by her side, Lena knew that their adventure had only just begun. They walked back to Lena's hut, feeling the energy of the objects guiding them. Lena held the largest piece close, feeling its warmth. She could not see it, but she knew it was special. That night, she placed the objects carefully in her collection and listened to their hum. Aiden sat nearby, sharing her excitement and curiosity. Lena realized that she had found more than treasures. She had found friendship, discovery, and a new purpose. For the first time, Lena felt that her world was full of possibilities. The objects she had collected for survival had turned into something magical. She closed her eyes, listening to the hums and vibrations, and dreamed of the adventures that awaited her. With Aiden's help, Lena knew she could unlock the secrets of her treasures and change her life forever. The next morning, Lena woke early, her fingers already brushing over the hum of her treasures. She could feel their energy and knew that today would be an important day. Aiden was already awake, carefully examining one of the objects that Lena had collected the day before. He looked up when he felt her presence. "Good morning, Lena," he said softly. "I think today we can learn more about these objects." Lena nodded, excitement and curiosity filling her heart. They stepped outside, the soft wind of the planet brushing against their faces. Lena led the way, her stick tapping lightly on the ground. Aiden followed, careful to match her pace. Lena loved walking in the morning. The air was clear, the sand felt cool, and the hum of the objects guided her steps. Each vibration told her something new about the landscape. She had learned to trust her senses completely, and today she would use them to uncover more of the treasure's secrets. After a while, they reached a large, flat area filled with scattered debris. Lena's fingers brushed over the sand and metal, searching for the hidden energy she could sense. Her hand met a long, thin object that hummed faintly. She lifted it carefully, feeling its shape and weight. "This one feels different," she said. Aiden leaned closer, examining it. "It might be part of a mechanism," he said. "Something that connects all the pieces together." They spent hours examining the area. Lena's hands moved quickly but carefully, brushing over the sand, feeling the edges and textures of each piece. Aiden helped by arranging the objects into groups based on size and shape. Together, they began to notice patterns. Some pieces fit perfectly together, forming small structures. Others hummed in response when placed near certain objects. Lena's heart raced. She had never imagined her collection could do this. As the sun climbed higher, Lena felt a strong vibration beneath her feet. It was different from anything she had felt before. She paused and placed her hand on the ground. The vibration grew stronger, almost like a rhythm. Lena's fingers tingled as she realized that the objects were interacting with the planet itself. She shared her feeling with Aiden. "The planet is responding," she said. Aiden nodded, his eyes wide with wonder. "It's as if the objects are a key. They are awakening something." Lena and Aiden carefully arranged the objects on the flat ground. Lena guided her hands over the pieces, connecting them in the pattern she sensed. Aiden watched closely and followed her instructions. Slowly, the hum grew louder and more melodic. Lena could feel energy flowing from one object to another. She smiled, sensing that they were very close to discovering the true purpose of her treasures. Suddenly, a small panel on one of the larger objects slid open. Lena felt the change immediately. Inside, there were strange symbols and grooves. She ran her fingers over them, memorizing each detail. Aiden examined the opening and whispered, "This is incredible. Someone designed this to be found and understood by someone like you, Lena." She felt a surge of pride and excitement. For the first time, she realized that her years of collecting had prepared her for this moment. They spent the rest of the afternoon studying the objects. Lena felt the connections between them more clearly than ever. Each piece had a purpose, and together they formed a device of some kind. Aiden helped her experiment with the arrangements, and the hums of the objects responded, changing tone and rhythm. Lena realized that they were not just tools or scraps. They were part of a system, a treasure left behind by someone who wanted it to be discovered. As the sun began to set, Lena and Aiden packed the objects carefully. Lena felt a deep sense of accomplishment. She had spent so long surviving on scraps and debris, but now she understood that her life had been preparing her for something greater. Aiden looked at her with admiration. "You have discovered more than a treasure, Lena. You have discovered a story, a connection, and your own strength." Lena smiled, feeling warmth in her chest. That evening, Lena placed the objects carefully in her hut. She held the largest piece close, feeling its hum and energy. She realized that her world was full of possibilities she had never imagined. With Aiden by her side, she knew they could unlock the secrets of the objects completely. Lena closed her eyes, listening to the soft hum, and felt hope, excitement, and curiosity. The adventure had grown bigger than she had ever dreamed, and she was ready to face it with her friend. The next morning, Lena woke to the gentle hum of her treasures. She reached for the largest piece, feeling the smooth edges and the faint vibration it sent through her fingers. Today felt different. She could sense it in the rhythm of the planet beneath her feet, and the way the wind whispered through the rocks. Lena knew that something important was about to happen. Aiden was already awake, examining the objects carefully. He smiled when he felt her presence. "Are you ready, Lena?" he asked. She nodded. They left the hut together, carrying the objects in Lena's woven bag. The plain stretched out before them, bright with the morning sun. Lena led the way, her stick tapping lightly on the ground. Aiden followed, careful to stay close but not disturb her path. Lena's senses guided her effortlessly. She could feel the shape of the land, the subtle vibrations of hidden objects, and the direction of the wind. Today she wanted to explore a canyon she had always avoided. She could sense that the treasures were guiding her there. As they approached the canyon, Lena's fingers brushed over a piece of metal buried in the sand. It hummed faintly, like it recognized her touch. She picked it up carefully and added it to the collection she carried. Aiden bent down to feel it as well. "It seems like the objects respond to you," he said. Lena smiled. She had always felt a connection with the treasures, but now it seemed that the connection was stronger than ever. The canyon walls rose high above them, casting long shadows over the sand. Lena moved carefully, listening to the echoes of their footsteps. Aiden followed closely, helping her navigate the uneven ground. Suddenly, Lena felt a strong vibration beneath her feet. She froze and held her stick steady. The objects in her bag hummed in response, their rhythm quickening. Lena realized that the canyon itself was interacting with the treasures. She reached out with her hands, feeling the edges of the rocks. Something was hidden here, and the treasures were guiding her. Carefully, Lena followed the vibrations to a flat rock partially covered by sand. She ran her hands over it and found a small indentation. She placed one of the objects inside, and the hum grew louder. Aiden watched, amazed. "It's like the objects are keys," he said. Lena nodded, her heart racing. She placed another piece in a nearby groove, and the ground beneath them trembled slightly. The canyon seemed alive, responding to the treasures. For the next few hours, Lena and Aiden worked together, fitting the objects into hidden grooves and patterns. The hum of the treasures became a melody, vibrating through Lena's hands and Aiden's arms. Each piece they placed made the canyon respond more strongly. Lena felt a thrill of excitement. Her life had been about survival and collection, but now it had become discovery and adventure. The treasures were no longer just objects. They were part of a system, a hidden message left for someone who could understand it. As the sun climbed higher, a faint glow appeared from the walls of the canyon. Lena reached out to feel it, and the vibrations became even stronger. Aiden touched the glowing rock and whispered, "This is incredible. The treasures are awakening something here." Lena smiled, her fingers tracing the edges of the final piece. She carefully placed it into its groove. The canyon trembled, and a small chamber opened before them, revealing hidden spaces filled with more objects and smooth walls that hummed with energy. Lena's heart raced with wonder. She could not see the chamber, but she could feel its energy flowing through her hands and feet. Aiden moved closer, helping her explore. Together, they discovered that the treasures were not just objects to be collected. They were part of a system, a message, and a guide. Lena realized that her life of survival had prepared her for this moment. She had the skills, the patience, and the understanding to unlock the secrets of the canyon. As evening fell, Lena and Aiden rested at the entrance of the chamber. Lena held the largest piece close, feeling its energy pulse through her fingers. She realized that the treasures were more than metal and minerals. They were a story, a history, and a path to something greater. Aiden looked at her with admiration and said, "You have done something extraordinary, Lena. These treasures have found the right person to understand them." Lena smiled, feeling pride and excitement. Her adventure was far from over, but she knew she was ready. The hidden chamber glowed softly as Lena stepped inside, feeling the smooth walls and the faint vibrations of the treasures in her hands. Aiden followed, careful to stay close and move slowly. Lena's fingers traced the shapes and edges of the objects scattered around the room. Each one hummed with energy, and together they created a melody that resonated through the chamber. Lena felt a thrill of excitement. She had never experienced anything like this before. "This place is incredible," Aiden said quietly. "I have never seen anything like it on any planet." Lena smiled, sensing his awe. "It feels alive," she replied. "The treasures brought me here. They knew I could understand them." She ran her hands over a large object at the center of the chamber. It was smooth, warm, and hummed stronger than any piece she had felt before. Lena realized it was the heart of the system, the key to understanding everything. Carefully, Lena connected the other pieces to the central object. As she did, the hum grew louder, forming a rhythm that filled the chamber. Aiden watched, amazed, as the walls seemed to respond. Patterns of vibration ran along the surface, and Lena felt as if the chamber was communicating with her. "It's showing us something," she said softly. "A message." She guided Aiden to place a few more objects into grooves along the walls. The vibrations changed, creating a sequence she could feel in her fingers. Lena realized that the treasures were not random. They were designed to be understood, and together they formed a story. Aiden listened closely as she explained what she felt. "This is extraordinary," he said. "You have turned what others would call trash into something amazing." Lena felt a surge of pride. Suddenly the ground trembled lightly, and a soft light appeared from the floor. Lena stepped carefully toward it, guided by the vibrations. The light formed a map of the chamber, showing paths and patterns she could feel with her hands. She traced the shapes and realized that the treasures had hidden a secret passage beneath the chamber. Aiden bent down to help her explore. "Do you think we should go?" he asked. Lena nodded. Her curiosity was stronger than her caution. They discovered a small opening at the far end of the chamber. Lena moved slowly, feeling the edges and the texture of the path. Aiden followed, supporting her when the ground dipped or shifted. As they advanced, Lena felt the energy of the treasures growing stronger. The hum of the objects was like a guide, leading them through the passage. Lena realized that the chamber was not the end. It was the beginning of something greater, something meant to be discovered by someone who could understand it. After a while, the passage opened into a larger room. Lena could feel smooth surfaces, strange symbols, and objects arranged in precise patterns. Aiden reached out and felt the energy pulsing through the walls. "This is incredible," he said. "The treasures have brought us here for a reason." Lena smiled, her fingers tracing the symbols. She understood that this room contained knowledge, tools, and secrets left for someone who could appreciate them. Together, Lena and Aiden began exploring the room. Lena touched every object carefully, feeling its shape and hum. Each one revealed more of the story. Aiden helped her connect the objects, and as they did, The vibrations formed a melody that seemed to tell a tale of travelers, discoveries, and wisdom left behind. Lena realized that the treasures were more than survival tools. They were a gift, meant to inspire, guide, and teach. As the sun outside began to set, Lena felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had turned her life of collecting scraps into a journey of discovery. With Aiden by her side, she had unlocked secrets that no one else could have understood. Lena smiled as she held the largest object close. She felt its warmth, its energy, and the story it carried. Her life had changed forever. That night, Lena and Aiden rested in the chamber. Lena held the treasures carefully, feeling their hum against her fingers. She realized that her world was full of wonder, and she had found her place in it. With courage, curiosity, and friendship, Lena had transformed her life. The chamber, the treasures, and the planet had shown her that even a blind alien girl could uncover treasures, understand stories, and create a new future. The chamber was quiet, but Lena could feel the hum of the treasures around her. Each object pulsed with energy, and together they created a rhythm that resonated through the entire room. Lena held the largest piece in her hands, feeling its warmth and the vibration that seemed to tell her a story. Aiden stood close, listening and feeling the energy of the treasures as well. Today, they would finally discover their full purpose. Lena carefully connected the remaining pieces to the central object. As she did, the hum grew louder and more melodic. It vibrated through her fingers and the floor beneath them. Lena felt a sudden rush of excitement. The objects were forming a system, and the room seemed to respond to their arrangement. Aiden watched in awe, amazed at how Lena could sense and understand the treasures without seeing them. Suddenly, the walls of the chamber began to glow. Symbols Lena had felt with her fingers lit up, tracing patterns across the smooth surfaces. The vibrations grew stronger, and Lena realized that the treasures were revealing a map of the planet. Each object had a place, and together they showed locations, hidden pathways, and sources of energy Lena had never known existed. Her heart raced. She had spent her life collecting what she thought was trash, but now she understood it had been treasure all along. "This is incredible," Aiden whispered. "The objects show the planet's secrets." Lena smiled, feeling pride and wonder. She guided him as they explored the patterns, touching each glowing symbol and following the hums. The treasures seemed alive, as if they were happy to be understood. Lena realized that they had been left for someone who could see with more than just eyes. Someone who could feel, imagine, and discover. After hours of careful exploration, Lena found a final object hidden in a small nook. It hummed with a stronger energy than the others. She placed it in its groove at the center of the system. The chamber trembled gently, and a soft light spread across the room. The treasures aligned perfectly, and Lena could feel the energy connecting everything. The objects were not just treasures. They were a guide, a story, and a tool to help her understand the planet. Aiden touched the final piece and smiled. "You did it, Lena. You unlocked everything." Lena felt warmth and excitement flood her heart. She realized that the treasures had not only changed her life, but also the way she saw the world. She had gone from surviving on scraps to discovering secrets and unlocking knowledge that no one else could have found. Her life had been transformed. Lena and Aiden spent the evening exploring the newly revealed parts of the chamber. Lena could feel hidden compartments filled with objects that contained energy, knowledge, and messages from travelers who had come before. Aiden helped her place the treasures carefully, and together they uncovered stories, tools, and histories that had been waiting for someone like Lena. She realized that her blindness had allowed her to understand the treasures in a way others could not. As night fell, Lena stood at the entrance of the chamber, feeling the wind on her face. She held the largest object close, feeling its hum and warmth. The planet around her seemed alive, responding to the treasures she had unlocked. Aiden stood beside her, sharing her sense of wonder. Lena smiled, knowing that she had found something greater than survival. She had found discovery, friendship, and purpose. That night, Lena placed the treasures carefully in her hut. She held the central piece, feeling its vibrations pulse softly in her hands. She realized that life was full of possibilities she had never imagined. The objects she had once called trash were treasures that had taught her about patience, curiosity, and courage. With Aiden by her side, Lena knew she could explore the planet, learn its secrets, and share the wonders she had discovered. Lena closed her eyes, listening to the hum of the treasures and the wind on the planet. Her heart felt full of hope and excitement. She had learned that even someone small and blind could uncover great treasures, solve mysteries, and change the world around her. Lena smiled as she imagined the adventures ahead. With courage, friendship, and curiosity, she knew that every day could bring new discoveries and her life would always be full of wonder.